Man, I have so many games right now, it's kind of ridiculous. There are probably 10 other titles that I could have or should have hit before this one. Yeah, here we are profiling Hard Bullet VR, which for some reason I keep wanting to call Hard Target, that cheesy ass John Van Damme movie. But whatever. Hard Bullet is an action packed VR experience that at this current time is more sandbox than full fledged game. Trust me when I say that in this case, the sandbox element is a good thing. Right off the rip, Hard Bullet is giving me Boneworks slash Half-Life Alyx vibes. Two more games that probably should have gotten a review treatment before this one here, but whatever. Now the reason why it gives me these vibes is because it's strong in the physics. In VR terms, physics basically applies to your ability to interact with environmental objects. So guns handle more realistically, you can pick up a dumbbell, climb on top of shit, and so forth. Hard Bullet has all this going on. Make no mistake about it, the appeal to Hard Bullet is the insane violence and the depth to which it can be explored. It's damn near like being in a horror movie where you get the honor of playing the role of slasher. That means you can decapitate enemies, impale them on ceiling hanging hooks, and literally send a nigga on a trip through the meat grinder. It's incredibly gory and downright graphic. In addition to all the environmental objects that can be used to your advantage, there are a ton of weapons at your disposal. You've got access to all sorts of guns, as well as melee weapons like swords, knives, billy clubs, spears, and so much more. As for the enemies, well, they're walking assholes, and their incompetence only adds to the fun. The AI isn't very intelligent at all, particularly when you're in a sandbox mode, where they're prone to walking into shit and getting themselves stuck on various objects in an effort to get their hands on you. This shit is fucking hilarious. While Hard Bullet doesn't have a campaign mode, there are maps that play out in similar fashion across various environments. These levels also have a sandbox component, albeit with less customization options than the official sandbox. Unintentionally, I discovered that Hard Bullet is essentially two games in one. Upon installing the game, I tried to run the updated version, but for some weird ass reason, I couldn't get it to work. After doing some research online, I learned that you could alternatively load the old beta version, so that's exactly what I did. Now, being my first time out with this game, I'm blown away by the beta version. It's got all the aforementioned elements, sandbox, environmental shenanigans, and spades of gory violence. Of course, I eventually got shit cracking with the updated version and found that it's a whole new world. I mean, like a totally different game. The base components are still intact, just in more abundant and grander fashion. So there are more maps to play through, more weapons, including explosives, and more custom options in the sandbox. For example, you can change the environment around you, swap it between the torture chamber stocked with all those grisly amenities from the beta version, a gym, a climber-friendly setting, and much more. You can also change the appearance, size, and durability of spawned enemies. The latter gets really interesting when you set your enemies to immortal. Just imagine putting a nigga through hell, blowing off his face with a shotgun, chopping off all his limbs, impaling him on the business end of a pole, then watching as he endlessly writhes out in pain because thanks to your sick ass, he can't even die. It can be pretty disturbing or pretty glorious depending on your state of diabolicalness. Another area in which Hard Bullet reminds me of Boneworks and Alyx is the challenge of unlocking the full experience. All three games, which are PC VR titles, offer robust mod support. As one reviewer said, if you're not playing Boneworks with the mods enabled, then you're not doing it right. It's probably a me thing, me being a dumbass and all, but it took me a while to get the mods up and running with all three of these games. Shit, I still haven't even got them set up in Hard Bullet. In my defense, I did just get the updated version of work literally like fucking yesterday. And while I did technically have the mods installed a couple days ago, I was also running the beta version, which isn't compatible with the mods. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before I get all that shit figured out. Compared to Boneworks and Alex, mod support for Hard Bullet is minimal. There are some NPCs you can install, like Stormtroopers. I think there's like a Captain America dude you can pop in there. You got a few stages, but it's nothing too amazing, especially when you compare it to Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx. All that in mind, I will say that at this point, you can totally enjoy Hard Bullet without the mods. And I guess that's about it. Hard Bullet, a little known VR gem that promises tons of fun for the virtual violence craving slappy like me. Still in early access and can use a few coats of polish, but the improvements made from beta to the current version is a good sign that the developers are on to something incredible. I look forward to seeing what insane shenanigans a full release brings to the table. And of course, I highly recommend you check this shit out for yourself. Peace.